but if you know Rob Ford, the old mayor of Toronto, who was like a crackhead, my neighborhood is actually where he would go to get crack. Just message him saying like, I'm around, can I come play Melee? It's like 10 a.m. And if he is awake, he would say, yeah, come in. And I would like come in and just play Melee for a bit or something. All of the Montreal guys slept in the basement, as you know, and I let H-Box sleep in my room.
Oh!
I was like, this guy's traveling, like whatever, he's, my friends, they can sleep on the floor. Let this guy sleep in my room. And he just like touched on my stuff. And I was so sad at that point. And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, why did I drive 17 hours here to get wobbled by some guy who just started playing? Literally so addicting that I can't stop playing. I'd have to block my controller in a month. I was born, I guess I'm 26. I was born in 1995 in Toronto. Not really Toronto, sort of like the suburb of Toronto, which is where my parents live.
This famous house where you hosted a lot of people.
Yeah, you've been there, I think.
Yeah, I think
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Montreal Smashers will have been there. So you know that's where I lived my whole life.
Your parents are amazing, super welcoming.
Yeah, they're very nice people.
Great food in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, they like hosting people. It's very sweet. Just pass it on to me, I guess. But yeah, so that's the origins, I guess.
Was it like a rich neighborhood, a poor neighborhood, a middle class? High school. What was high school like for you?
It's funny. So the neighborhood that I grew up in was like really bad.
Oh, really?
It was like extremely poor. Yeah. So I don't know. You know who? Maybe this isn't a good comparison for people not from Toronto, but if you know Rob Ford, the old mayor of Toronto, who was like a crackhead, my neighborhood is actually where he would go to get crack. He was my brother went to the high school that was down the street from my house, and Rob Ford used to be a teacher there. Very funny.
He made it known that he would buy crack there. How do you know that?
Yeah. Everybody knows it.
Everybody knows.
There's like a strip of like low income housing units that is extremely sketchy. I had a lot of friends who grew up there, and I don't know, people would get mugged, and my friends got cars stolen, and people would know places. Anyway, so that's around the neighborhood.
So you had like experience like that with like criminal stuff?
Growing up a little bit, but when I did really well in school, and so I ended up going to high school like an hour away in like a super nice rich neighborhood, which was very funny.
Your parents like had the money to afford it, or you got
No, it wasn't like, it's not a private school. It was the program's called like IB, International Baccalaureate. It's just like a high school edition. It's sort of like AP. I don't know if you have this in Quebec at all, but it's not uncommon.
International program, I think we call it.
Yeah, it was only like a few hundred. It's not like a few hundred for like the 4 years of high school, so it's fine. It wasn't like $20,000.
Yeah. So you were smart. You were a smart kid.
So I was able to do that, I guess. I would have been fine going in my neighborhood, but my parents were into me doing well in school.
Yeah, were you happy about that, or?
It was okay.
You had to like make new friends and stuff?
Different perspective. Yeah, it was okay. It was annoying. I took the bus there. It took like an hour one way every day, mostly. But so I sort of grew up in those two areas. But the area around my parents used to be a lot worse. It's okay now.
Yes, it looks pretty nice. It looks nice. When I went there, it looked like a middle class, pretty neighborhood.
Yeah, it's gotten improved, I guess. Yeah, the Walmart. I don't know if you remember. There's a Walmart was behind my parents' house. Maybe you don't remember.
Yeah,
but there is a Walmart there.
Yeah, right.
And it used to be a really shitty mall, like grungy mall garbage. And then they demolished it, and after the Walmart, it became a really nice neighborhood.
Or like nicer, to Walmart, making the world a better place.
They destroyed the garbage mall and built a Walmart. So
Wow,
It,
you see that the neighborhood is poor when a Walmart is makes it more bourgeois.
yeah, I mean,
So
that's all it takes sometimes.
when did you first start playing Melee or Smash in general, casually?
Um, I mean, when I was in elementary school, I followed the Smash Dojo for Brawl. I don't remember
I
this.
don't know what the Smash
You're
Dojo
not
is.
were you ever a casual Smash player at all?
Yes.
Okay. When Brawl was coming out, I was in like grade 6 or 7. It's like 12 or something. And my friend group at school they like played Nintendo games mostly. And Sakurai used to post on his blog on the Smash Dojo every morning. He would post about a new thing that was coming out in Brawl, like an item or a stage or something. And so I would wake up, go on my computer and look at it, and then talk about it with my friends.
You and all your friends were playing a lot.
We're playing Brawl, yeah. And I actually got it. I was so excited for Brawl that I like hacked my Wii so that I could pirate the Japanese version of Brawl because it came out like a few months earlier.
Mm,
It was a really classic move. And then
yeah.
I would play with my friends. And yeah, so after that, my brother went to university. I have an older brother. So we played Brawl growing up. My brother went to university. He's 6 years older than me. So he got kind of into competitive melee a bit when he went to university. This was it must have been what, 2008 or 2009. Um, so he came back from university like to visit my parents and stuff, and he would like beat me up with Sheik with like tech skill. And I had no idea what was going on. So I played with my brother a bit.
He would like learn stuff at university and then come back home to you
Yeah.
and demolish you.
I mean, he would just forward arrow Sheik.
Yeah, that's so much enough when
but
you start.
I couldn't beat him. And then yeah, so he beat me up for a few years, and then I decided. I mean, I forgot about it for a while. I went to university in 2013 at McGill, and that's the same year that the documentary came out. Of course,
So you moved from Toronto to Montreal
Montreal,
to McGill,
2013. Yeah,
and
the
then
Thanksgiving of the year that I moved is when I watched the documentary.
you're a dog
And
kid.
I am a doc kid. Yeah,
Dog
it's been a
kids,
long time now, though.
dog
So
kids
it's
are
been
so
8 years.
old.
Yeah, 2013 is 8 years now, so I've been playing for about 8 years. Um,
So watch
maybe
the
a little
documentary,
later.
made it. You were hype about it.
Yeah, I made a post in I was living in student housing. I made a post in the Facebook group saying that anyone who can beat me, I will give them a beer or whatever. Some joke like that in the Facebook group.
Someone answered.
And yeah, I had a few friends and my roommate in Montreal, Schlomer. I don't know if people
Yeah,
remember him.
I remember.
I met him through that basically. in
He
France.
answered this beer
Yeah,
thing. And
he came and we hung out a bit, and
did you beat him?
then we were both really bad, so we were just trading. But then after that, I don't know. We watched some melee tournaments together. I think we watched Apex 2014 in like school res, and then I decided to start looking for other people. So the first like tournaments I went to were at the Otaku Lounge on Saint Denis. That's where the first weeklies were.
Yes. Near
Maybe
Sherbrooke, right?
near yeah, sort of near Sherbrooke and Saint
Mm.
Denis. The Otaku Lounge, and used to let us run melee tournaments there, and so I started going there, and then
Not related to the Smash Loft. This place was.
no, it's sort of related. They might be the same CRTs
Oh,
because
okay.
they're all David's CRTs. Smash Dad.
David was also hosting there
David was the one who was hosting there. Yeah,
at both
originally.
places. He would host at this place, and then you were there when he moved to the other venue.
Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot where it was, in Westmount somewhere. It was at some other game store, and then
Yeah.
we did Smash Intensifies, and then they ended up at it's called Gamers Vault, and then it ended up at the Loft.
That's yeah.
So I just started going to weeklies. I really started getting into it when I went to Gamers Vault for the first time after I went back for the summer in 2014. I went to Gamers Vault again in the fall, and I met my friends Blake and Ballard. Moon Panda and Jaeger for the first time that I went there. I met Blake, and we talked about, oh, you go to McGill, I go to McGill too, whatever. And then the next day, for the first day of class, he was like in my like 10-person class. So we just showed up and we're like, oh, you're in this class too? That's crazy. And then
Nice. So
we
that's how
started
you
hanging out
got
a lot.
close and then grinding melee together.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really small class. It was like a special music recording class that we took. Almost no one took it in the whole school.
Unrelated to your main program?
Yeah, because
Wow.
we were both in I think Blake took English actually, but I was in like computer programming, and we both just liked music, so we took an elective for a music recording class,
Wow.
coincidentally,
Great
and we ended
story.
up just a day after we played at the Gamers Vault that we ended up in the same class. So I think we just started becoming friends there, and then I would go to his place to play Melee and meet his brother Ballard and his group of friends who
Why are you
also played
laughing
Melee.
when you say battered?
Ballard.
Why? Why are you already
Just because
laughing
him
just
and Blake
mentioning
are
his
pretty
name?
different. I don't know. It's funny. I
How
didn't, you know.
it was actually a question I prepared. How were your your first training partners like as like friends and partners? Was it
Yeah.
result oriented? Was it like
I
competitive?
mean, I was the worst one in the group for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because Blake and Ballard, so I like first started going to tournaments because I met Blake and Ballard. They had been going to tournaments for a few years, even in North Carolina. And they were like more old school. Like they went to some really OG tournaments in like 2007 when
Hmm.
they were like, I don't know, high schoolers or whatever.
Mm.
um, and for a long time, they were just way better than me. I remember the first tournament I went to, Smash Intensifies, I like didn't even make it out of pools. That was like my first month, the first big Montreal tournament. I didn't make it out of pools. I remember talking to them, and they were doing like really well at the time, and so it was fun to play with them
Were they
a
making fun
lot.
of you?
Like in a sense, um, Ballard has his way of making fun of you. I think they knew. I mean, Melee is hard, right? I had only been playing for a few months, seriously, really.
Hmm.
But at least, and this was sort of gone by the time I left Montreal, but it was nice to have a group of people that were nearby that I could play a lot, and for short periods of time, because we all lived sort of near McGill, the school, and so we would just go to each other's apartments and play some Melee every other day or something like that. We had a group chat, and it was pretty nice. And we had probably like at some point like up to 15 people in that group chat, and we would just host and play. And then yeah, so it was pretty easy for me to just play a lot, even when I was in school and stuff, because people were just so nearby.
Mm-hmm. And they were
Um,
already really good players
yeah,
in
and
Montreal. Not just
everyone
not
was
just
already,
better
yeah,
than
everyone,
you.
they were already quite good. Yeah, everyone was
Yeah.
better than me. Gabe was part of that group too, of course. Gabe had been playing in Toronto before the documentary as well. Diego was playing with us for quite a while, even though he didn't go to McGill. Um, and these people were just all way better
So
than
the
me.
people you had to surpass were
They were
at
nearby,
a
yeah.
good level. So that
Yeah.
must have helped you. Like if we started grinding together as low level players together, maybe you won't grow as fast as playing with Ballard and Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because they all give advice in all very different ways.
Oh yeah.
Why I laugh a little bit with Ballard, because like he would beat me almost every time for he kept beating me the longest of everyone because he I guess he had a lot of practice with his brother because he was really good at Fox Sheik. I mean, Fox Sheik is really hard. And then he also played Puff, so sometimes he would go Puff Sheik and I would still lose to him, and he would beat me for
Oh,
years.
and those two characters kept like
They
haunting
were
you
so
for
hard for
years.
me. Yeah, especially when I was bad, I had no idea what to do. But his advice would always be like, okay, just do this one thing and you'll start doing better. And then Moon Panda instead would give me like really long explanations of his like ideas about Sheik and like what he needs to do, especially to beat. I remember him talking to me a lot about Sheik Peach because he hated losing to Kyle more than everyone. And Blake would always try to talk to me about the secrets of beating Peach as Sheik, which is to throw needles from the platforms. Anyways,
Kyle
so
actually said that
that exact story with
yeah,
Blake.
no, but when he started losing to you, it got to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Blake, maybe this will make Kyle feel better. Me and Blake talked about beating him specifically like a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so it was bound, we put a lot of energy into it. And it's one of my better matchups now, so it still carries over.
Mm. Did you want
But yeah.
to? Did you want to get at a really good level when you first started? Did you have like concrete objectives, or was it just beating your
Mm,
friends?
I was happy with my friends. I was really excited to go to like big national tournaments. I don't think I was that serious about doing well until I went to my first national,
Which
um,
was
which was Apex 2015.
wow, you traveled so far
Yeah,
for
I
your
mean there
first
was such a big group going because okay, the
mm,
year before I was just playing casually in Montreal with people for fun, still a hobby. I mean it's a hobby now, but like very casual. Um, and a big group of people went to Big House 4 from Montreal. This was like David, Simo, Diego went. I think Chelsea went. But a big group of people went to Big House 4, and I didn't go. I didn't feel like I was good enough or knew anyone. So I was like, I'm not
mm-hmm.
going to spend my money to go to Big House 4, like whatever. And then Big House 4, I watched at home on Twitch, and it was like the most amazing tournament of all time. When I watched the top 8 of that tournament,
You
it
regretted
like
not being there,
I
and
was like, Jesus, why didn't I go to this? It
yeah,
would have been so sick to go, even if I'm not doing well, like to watch the top 8 and stuff. I thought it would be like really enjoyable.
yeah, with the crowd and everything.
Then
So you went to
so when
Apex.
Apex 2015 happened, yeah, I took a train with Lafungo, Jonathan. It was supposed to be me, Jonathan, and Kage, and then Kage backed out because he got sick.
The
This is why he
classic.
wasn't in the salty suite. Um,
Oh, oh
but
yeah, I remember now.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I went just with Jonathan on like an 11-hour train ride to
Wow.
New Jersey, and I don't know, it was just such a crazy experience. Obviously, people must know about having to switch hotels and stuff. Like, it was such a struggle the first day. A funny story from that actually. So I went with Blake and Ballard went as well, but they went with friends from New Jersey because they're like Americans and they have American friends, I guess.
They didn't like
Um, they didn't
invite
stay
you?
with me. No,
What?
their friends only had space for like 2 people, so Blake and Ballard went,
Okay.
and me and Jonathan stayed with the Concordia people, in the hotel room. So it was like me, Jonathan, Vadim, Sabrina,
Invite.
like Sabs, Simo. Even Fizzy was in our hotel room a lot because he was from Montreal originally. So
Mm-hmm. McGill.
we were housing together.
Did you know him
And
when he was from McGill playing Melee?
no, I think he left just the year I came to
Okay.
Montreal. But I met him in the hotel room. It was very nice. He
Mm.
taught us a lot of Super Monkey Ball speedruns in the downtime. But yeah, so that tournament was really crazy, and it was also very good. And I don't know.
You have
I
memories
realized that
with.
I was better than a lot of the noobs who had like come
Mm.
at the time, even then, and I wasn't playing super duper seriously. And I just wanted to go and do really well.
Did
For
you?
like not at that time, but it made me want to like represent the region, come and bring my own style. People were still pretty. The community was like really different, and going nationals was really different. It was really easy to be like, well, I'm from Montreal, and everyone, of course, asked about Kage. I'm like, stop asking about Kage. There's other people. um, yeah, and then I saw, Kirby Kazi was at that tournament too, and I had known him for a bit as well because I'm from Toronto, and it was cool seeing him do really well as someone from Toronto. And I was like, wow, he's from where I grew up, and he's able to like make top 8 at Apex, you know,
With Sheik.
which he did.
With
And
Sheik.
then
With
with
Sheik
Sheik, yeah,
also.
with Sheik,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he made top 8, and I was like, whoa, I play Sheik, and I can maybe one day do this. I obviously knew that it was like really hard, but I think when I came back, I was like, well, I want to go to another national. That was like such a fun, crazy experience, and if I'm gonna go to these nationals, I should like try really hard to like become good, become better at the
That's when
game.
the real grind started for you.
Yeah, and so when I came back, it was also around the time Colin started, so it lined up with, oh, okay, there's this other guy who now suddenly wants to get really good at melee. Um, and so it sort of lined up really well, so that me and Colin started playing like a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we motivate each other to get better and better.
Do you remember the second time you traveled after that? And if you did better, like after Apex?
I don't really remember. I remember the next time. I mean, I don't know, like in terms of super nationals, because also
Mm-hmm.
you have to remember, like on the East Coast, there weren't that many. There wasn't like Apex 2016.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I went to, it must have been Big House 6. But Big House 6, I think, was like a year at least after, because it
Mm-hmm.
was in the fall.
So you got way
And
better.
Apex was in the summer. So by that time it was already my like skill level was already really different. And I did go to more and more like Canadian tournaments. I remember, I think Smash Intensifies 2 must have happened after Apex at some point. And I remember I did really well at that one. Better than I think people in Montreal expected me to do. And I started beating a lot of the Montreal players that were like more old school in the generation before me, more consistently. So I was doing well against like Zelmar and Vrud, and Ministry at the time was in Montreal, and I started beating him. It took me a long time to beat Waz,
Mm.
but like I started playing more and more and started becoming higher on the PR, because I mean they weren't playing as seriously as I was at the time. I was like really motivated. But yeah, the next time was Big House 6, and I didn't do super well there either. But I saw Waz made top 64 at that tournament, and
Beating
that
Scar.
he beat Scar. Yeah, exactly. And I think that um like inspired me to keep playing even more, because I saw him do really well, and he's like, well, this is a guy I like can go even with
Yeah.
in my local tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was because I was like, I practiced a lot. I was really good at practicing for specific matchups, especially in Montreal. The pool of players wasn't that big, and so I was able to just practice against Peach to beat Kyle and Robert, and I could practice against Sheik to beat like Waz in Ministry. But I don't know. I saw Waz go, and he was like still way better than me as a player overall. He would be beating like he beat like a lot of Mars and a lot of other characters that I wasn't as good against. And I was like, well, now I want to practice so I can do this sort of stuff.
He was like within reach when you saw him do well at Big House.
Yeah. And so that's sort of what I wanted to try to do as well. And I knew it was possible. I mean, seeing all these things all the time sort of made me feel like it was possible, right? And it was. So, there was Big House 6. I went to Big House 7. I went to Shine. I think twice, 2016 and 2018.
Okay.
I went to Smash and Splash. There was a tournament in Ohio. I mean, I went to so many tournaments.
Do you
So at this point,
remember the one you did the best at?
yeah, I think I made like top 64 at Shine something. Shine 2016. I think it was the one I
Yes, 2018.
did.
You had controller problems.
I had controller issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a choker, so
Okay.
I got really close to beating a lot of good players, and I never beat them. Like I got last stock or like last game against a lot of good players, and I never beat them.
Were you nervous every time, or just against better players than you?
I get nervous pretty easy. I mean, I think it's something I've accepted that is just hard for me, and it's okay. But even against anyone, if it's close, I get nervous and my game plan sort of falls apart. And it's something that I never got really good at. But I don't know. I still had some good matches when I traveled. I think, yeah, Shine 2016 was my best like placement. But there are other tournaments where I had some wins and stuff that I guess I thought were good. Shine 2016 was a hard one too, because there were a lot of people who were grinding really hard at that time in 2016.
A tryhard
Yeah.
time. What was
Yeah.
your favorite one or the most memorable one? Was it China 2018 at Morgan's? For me, it's
As a person of enjoyment or as a
yeah,
competitor?
yeah, person
They're very
enjoyment.
different.
Yeah,
I really liked going to Gommel personally. I always liked. I mean, I liked visiting Morgan. Morgan's my good friend, and I liked visiting different cities. But I think I also like community and helping other people and stuff. And so I always feel like I looked forward to Gommel in Toronto like the
ah,
most
because you were hosting people at your
because I was hosting
place
people. I get to like
from
take
Montreal
people to
to
different
Toronto,
foods.
and
Have
wow,
people at my house. Talk about the city I grew up in, and
watching
because
you
also
doing that. Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
I like because my best memories are like of traveling and like getting to meet different people
Yeah,
or like going to a different city and like talking to people about not melee but about other parts of their lives, right?
yeah.
Um, and that's something even in Montreal, like I don't know if I would have learned or met a lot of like Quebecois people. As you know, probably a lot of McGill students are really stuck in their Anglophone international bubble.
Yeah.
Um, and so like more what I took away from melee in Montreal is happy to meet all of the people who live in Montreal and learn about Montreal for real and make friends.
French friends.
Yeah, French and friends, French friends. Yeah,
French
like
friends.
people who speak French, and
Hmm.
it's
How was the
so I
community
wanted to get.
when you entered the your first weeklies in the Smash Love and like your last? How did it change?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How did the community change from when you first started playing in Montreal to when you stopped? Like, did it change in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of effort from myself, Kyle, Baz, even like Miles, of course, was there too. Um, I think we really tried hard, and we argued about this kind of stuff a lot, especially me and Kyle, about the best way to run weeklies and how to, you know, make the experience better for everyone. So when we first started, it was like really awkward and people weren't super friendly. I went to a taco lounge and there were like 10 people, maybe 15 people. I didn't know what I was doing. I tried to ask Waz for advice and he was like kind of confused. He's just like, what? And just I was like, how do you up B to the ledge? Because that was so bad. I was like, Sheik, I'm like, for some reason when I up B, I just kill myself like 90% of the time. I can't hit the ledge. And he tried explaining to me, but he was so like,
Advanced. Too
yeah,
advanced to explain this.
just up B and then the stick like pointed towards the ledge. And I was, oh, okay. Um,
I remember the first time I asked was something. He destroyed me with Sheik against my Falcon. And I said, "What can I do in this matchup?" And he said, "You can narrow over my needles." That's
that's good. That's
it.
good. That's
That's
better
it.
advice than I thought. Yeah, Waz is not an advice person though. I didn't know him at all, so he was just the only other Sheik player. So David was
Mm,
like, "Just go ask Waz.
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
Sheik
yeah.
player." So I
At
was like, okay,
Otaku, but
yeah,
it was awkward back then.
yeah. And I think now, I mean, we try to make it so new players are having a good time.
Yeah.
uh, we tried to think about ways for new players. There was this like new player hat meme for a while, with the cone on their head. That was
No,
really
you did
funny.
that?
It was a joke that Kyle told new players to do, and some of them did it. Very funny.
So when you noticed someone was new, you said, "Oh, you have to wear a birthday hat."
Yeah, you might find a old like Facebook post of Kyle telling people to do this,
Oh my
and it was a
god.
meme, but I genuinely thought it was like a good idea.
Yes, yes, yes. It's funny.
Yeah,
It makes it less awkward. It's like, here,
yeah,
I'm ridiculous.
yeah.
I can't
Like I'm
be
a new
even more
player.
ridiculous than that, so might as well
Oh,
talk.
Orca's idea. That sounds like something that'd be Orca's idea.
It was
It was a
Orca's
funny
idea.
meme. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah, it switched into a more
And then it
friendly
was more
place.
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also before, I mean, everyone would always Smash Off was basically the always the most essential weekly in Montreal. But before too, there were more people playing separately. And so, McGill people would play together. People who went to Concordia would play together in their setup in the H building. I think people at UDM would play together since they're over the mountain. No one would go there.
Yeah.
Um, And of course, there are other people like farther out too. There was West Island weeklies. There were people playing in Laval, even people playing up where Bowser Guy was,
Mm-hmm.
way up north, way past Laval. Um, and so when we came to Smash Loft, I feel like people weren't as close, or they weren't as like. I feel like now the Montreal community is like one ball, right? Everyone goes to the Smash Loft, especially the group of people that were there before with you, Georgie, Julie Payette, and all these people. Maybe now it's different. I haven't been there, but
Nah, I haven't been there either, actually.
that's true. But even with the tournaments you're going, I feel like everyone is just there's not as much actual rivalry, and everyone's just like friends. Everyone's part of the same group,
Yep. Yep.
and it wasn't always like that. Not that I like hated people from other places or whatever, and it was just like we wouldn't play as often. Uh, you know, we weren't close. We wouldn't like go out to eat after with people from another group, or
Hmm.
like people would go out to smoke at the loft. People wouldn't like hang out together. I would only talk to people from McGill for a while.
Like small cliques, small groups of friends at the same
Yeah,
place.
and I think it was more toxic. It was
Yeah, I
not great.
guess. Because it creates
um,
rivalries and crews.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think now it is better for someone who's just coming alone, or someone who's coming not with people from their school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, should be the goal, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's something we talked about, and it's something that it took years to like develop because we didn't know what we were doing. I
And
feel like I was
now,
just a little
now
kid
that you
back
guys
then.
did that, there's like a social pressure to enter in the group. Whereas if you
Do you think
go
so?
to the yeah, if you go to the Smash Loft with three of your friends, it's gonna be weird if you just hang out with your friends. There's like a
Oh yeah,
feel of, hey, we're going outside to smoke. Do you want to come with us? Hey, do you want to play friendlies? And then we'll talk, and then your group of friends are gonna merge with us. There's like
yeah. Or
a
you play doubles, or like there's a more of a like, and you watch other people play bracket, and you'll like talk to them. And I don't know if you go to other weeklies in other cities, or even if you go to like the Smash Ultimate Weekly or something. But the Melee weeklies in Montreal are very, very different than any of the other communities for Smash that I've been in. For example, when I go to Melee tournaments in Toronto, people like don't talk to each other, and a lot of them will just wear earphones the whole time and take it very seriously. Or if you go to the Ultimate Weekly in Montreal, or when they were running, people would like be very quiet and not want to be loud, and like not comment on each other's games, and be kind of like very respectful and polite
ew.
in that way. Yeah. And so, you know, I think there's still more work to be done for the Melee, weeklies if they come back and if people still attend. But
Speaking of
um
Montreal or outside Montreal, you think
in
people should
Montreal,
just
people
copy
outside
us?
Montreal
Just
lost
copy what?
cause. I think a lot of people should copy what
Yeah.
Montreal has done for stuff,
Mhm. But you
because
need a
I think
crazy guy who's willing to let people enter his house four
into his
days a
house,
week
right?
for 5 years without
I
taking any
mean, Kyle
breaks.
did even more than that. You like let people sleep in his house all the time. His house people. I would just message him saying like I'm around. Can I come play Melee? It's like 10 a.m. And if he was awake, he would say, "Yeah, come in." And then I would like come in and just play Melee for a bit or something. Um,
Yeah.
and that's not something you get very often.
No, that's not
And
some
the
really
size and
often.
geography of Montreal help a lot with this too,
Mm-hmm,
which is good.
In
It's like the
Toronto, do
perfect
you
size.
think that's the reason why people are less close to each other? They talk like because they all live far, a little bit like the
Yeah,
McGill Concordia UDM dynamic before. So
it's like that. But keep in mind, McGill and Concordia, you can like I walk to Concordia from McGill like
yeah,
once a week at least. But in Toronto, like one, it's so expensive that almost no one actually lives in the downtown area. So everyone has to drive, and then like,
hmm.
you know, the Brampton area, if they want to go play the York people, they have to drive for like 40 minutes. Or even like, I know Moki talks about this a lot, but like people always assume he plays Ryan and Ryan plays None or whatever, but they actually don't play. I mean, Ryan and Nunn are a little closer, but like Moki's actually in like Durham, and so they would play in the Durham weeklies for a long time. Even Mateo's in the chat. I think he's from also Brampton, which is also far. So like if I wanted to play in Mateo, I'd have to drive like over an hour. For example. Oh, Oakville.
So it's hard
Sorry.
to break cliques
Yeah.
with people
So
living far.
I don't know. When I went to weeklies, there were weeklies downtown in Ryerson, which is the school downtown. And when I was in Toronto, that's more when that's like the main weekly that was active when I was there. And it was very different. Because another thing that's different is like I would go weekly one week and it'd be one set of people. I would go again next week and it's completely different. So even if I had some people I knew, at least amongst like the better players, a lot of them could only come like once a month or once every few
like
weeks,
different players,
and it was always different people, and so I never got a sense of getting to know a lot of the players in Toronto super well, even when I was living there. And so it was hard to get a sense of community in that sense.
There's not like a centralized weekly that everyone can attend.
Yeah, in Montreal, like literally everyone goes to Smash Loft. And if you want to play people, you just have to go there basically.
Yeah.
And there's only one set of tournament monthly series that are also, they were run by me back then, now they're run well, they're all downtown. So everyone was able to come together in one place, the same place for a long time, and that's also very rare, right?
Yeah. So you need to encourage people to come back every week. That could create a bigger sense of community, but also being able to eat and drink inside the venue and staying after it's done, like
that's where a lot of the friendships are made, right? And so for friendships, it's like Montreal's also very good for that. Like a lot of the times, I mean, I got really close with my McGill friends because like we would go eat after weeklies, like on the way home, and it was like, I mean, it wasn't super far, but it was farther than a lot of people would go normally. So we would like stop halfway to get like poulet bronzé or like
what
boustons or something.
Poulet what?
Like, poulet bronze. Is it bronzé?
Bronzé?
I don't know what that means. It's like gold. Is that golden chicken? I don't know. It's near Concordia.
It's like a 10. It's like when you get a 10 from Sun 10.
Okay, that's the name of the place. It's by Concordia. It's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I would check it out. It's one of our OG spots.
I'm gonna.
And so like we would go there every week and just hang out, and so
and also make friends traveling. Like we travel together. That's when we start talking more.
Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to say that earlier, but you said that it's one of your favorite memories, hosting people at your home. But from an outside perspective, it felt like you had to work. It was like kind of it was work for you because don't like wake up my parents. Like everything would stress me out, but you actually
but you must understand this too, Pino. I mean, that running tournaments was work, but you love probably running your tournament series and giving people cheap beer and stuff.
That's true. That's true.
And it's stressful. I used to like not be able to sleep before running tournaments, or even for Gobble and stuff.
Yeah.
But life is short. Like, why not make the most of your time and that stuff?
And it's true that even though it feels like work, you keep doing it because you like it for some weird reason.
So
do you remember a set you were so mad that you lost? Is it on YouTube?
Many.
Is it on YouTube? Not
no,
that we're not
most of the sets I would have lost. I mean, there was one set I cried after.
Oh, it
was a single set. I mean, I gotta set the whole context.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is when I was playing like a lot, and not a lot of people in Montreal were excited to go. So there was a tournament that was happening in Ohio, called Shuffle 6 or something. Shuffle some number, and I went with it was me, Gabe, and Padre. I think we were the only people who wanted to go, and we rented a car, and I think it was like 16 or 17 hours away.
Damn.
And so it was a real mission, and me and Padre would just no, it was in Ohio. So we drove all the way to Ohio for 16 or 17 hours. I think Colin was there too. I don't really remember how Colin did. But so we went there. We slept in some frat house on the floor for the weekend in Ohio. And when I got there in winners, I got to play lucky and I did okay, but I lost, obviously. And then I went into losers. And I don't know if you know about Ohio, but the character spread on Ohio is like the worst character spread in terms of floaties of all time. So on their PR, it was like Peach, Sheik, Puff, 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 Ices, Ices. Something like that. Something crazy. And so I went to losers. And at this time, I was playing Peach for Ices. And my Peach is really bad. So I went to losers. I played Binda, who's Fox, and she's good. And I beat her. And then I played someone named Papa. And he was an Ices, and I beat him with Peach, and he got really mad. And then the next match, I had to play Boyd, who's also an Ices. I don't know if you know about Boyd.
Yep, know the name.
And I was so mad. So, like, Papa, the Ices I beat in the round before, sat beside me during the set and heckled me the whole time while I was playing Boyd. And the Boyd beat me with Peach, and he had some, like, annoying level setups that I got really upset by. And I was getting heckled by this guy, Papa. And then I like left. And then some guy came up to me after, like, told me that Boyd had only been playing at that point for like a year. And I was so sad at that point. And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, why did I drive 17 hours here to get wobbled by some guy who just started playing? Granted, Boyd is good, but 1 year is short.
Wow,
I felt like I wasted my time, right? I'm like, why am I putting so much energy into this game? And it doesn't matter because you go into a tournament, you drive 17 hours, it's a double elim, so you'll lose to like a really good player. And you'll just like,
everything makes sense. Everything makes sense now, Tranimal.
Yeah.
Your hatred for Ices.
Yeah.
That's when it started.
This is part of it. I think
not Ices, wobbling.
Yeah.
Wobbling.
Against wobbling.
Why?
I actually like Ices. I have an okay Ices actually.
Okay.
But yeah, so times have changed now. That wouldn't happen anymore.
Yeah, and so you're just happy about that.
I feel vindicated. I think people realize, and not a lot of people had that experience because people don't play Ices. But yeah, so that was my saddest moment.
Yeah. And fortunately, it's not on YouTube because my next question was, can you watch that on YouTube?
It's actually funny because the next round, I think Padre had to play Boyd in winners, and he also lost to Boyd.
Okay, so you guys had 17 hours in the car to bitch about wobbling. And then
I swear to God, we actually did the whole time.
And then come back to Montreal and shit on Lunar Dusk.
Yeah, I mean, this was my life experience, right? I can only speak from what happened to me. I don't regret it. I regret being as mean as I was to Lunar sometimes.
So yeah, that's actually the next. It leads to the next question. How did the Tranimal is mean meme started?
I thought it was Tranimal is a dick actually.
Is it?
That's the full. I mean, it's the same thing. But this is. I mean, Elliot is the one who would always say Tranimal is a dick.
Elliot, your friend Elliot.
My friend Elliot. Yeah.
Your friend Elliot.
Yeah. I don't actually know when it started, but I can guess that it's because online, especially on text chat, I like memeing a lot. And it's funny because, I mean, this was also what it was like back on the Facebook group when I first started playing Melee. And I hadn't adjusted for the progression of the community for a long time. And I thought... I was toxic on the Facebook group. I don't deny. I'm still toxic in like Discord chats and stuff. I like arguing.
You look such
like
a kind person.
That's the thing, yeah. Because I think people who don't meet me are like, wow, Adrenal's like such a dick. Especially you just read me on Facebook, and then I don't know. I feel like I am actually very nice in person, and I try to be welcoming to people.
Not only that, but you just look nice. Like you look
Yeah, I
like
look very
a
kind.
cool person.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised you say like you're toxic.
I mean, I think on Facebook, I think I need to be removed from social media. No, I'm joking. But there was, I mean, I don't know. I was young back then. I think I didn't see myself as young back then, but I wouldn't do the same stuff now. See that I was young. But I would like shitpost a lot. Like when I first started, I would call out specific groups of people for like being bad or for like dodging me. Or I'm sure maybe you've seen these old Facebook posts, but I would call
No.
out when I was starting like fucking like Waz, Simo, Zelmar, like why are you not coming to the tournaments? You're just scared of losing to me. Lol. Like me and Colin are gonna take over and we're gonna beat everyone or whatever.
Were
The
you
same
just
stuff.
trying to get them to play, or you would just shit on them and being serious?
I think both, right? It's a little bit of both. That's always what it's like on online. I'm like a little serious. Mostly, I wouldn't say it the same way if I was talking to them in person.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
the sentiment is true. Yeah.
I remember that one time in Boston, we were in the subway and someone asked for directions to you,
Yeah.
and because you're not from Boston, you just answer.
Yeah.
So what I do is I just look at the map there. You answer that to that.
I forgot about this. But that's really funny. That sounds exactly like what I would do.
I at that moment I fell in love, dude. I have to say that's the moment where I was like, oh, I love this guy. This guy's great.
Yeah. Yeah. When I'm in person, it's so much easier to tell if they're not like I won't do it to someone who I think is gonna get mad.
Yeah. When you know the guy's not gonna get mad.
Like I can tell in person. On online, like, there's no way to know. But it's good. I mean, I think people need to loosen up a bit in life, right?
Yes.
And people like they're like fun memories for people. Like I'm sure that guy was like, what a funny story. I'm thinking
teasing
like,
people is funny. I see it as I don't tease people I hate. I just don't talk to them. And people I like, I tease them all the time. Yeah. Tranimal is a dick. Yeah. Is it exclamation point Tranimal actually?
No, that's probably. Oh, that's here. On the other channel.
Oh no, it's Van Wobbling.
It's Van Wobbling, of course. Yeah. I mean, I still think I overstepped a few bounds back in the day. I tried to make amends to certain people. But I think overall, it was mostly a meme.
Your biggest rivalry from being toxic was Was?
Was it? I think Was. I mean, we're friends now.
Yeah.
I think at the time, a lot of people didn't like me. I think Was didn't really like me for a long time. I mean, a lot of people didn't like me for a long time. I actually, in my life, not even in my life, I have a lot of people come up to me like a few years later. It's like, actually, you're a really cool guy. I'm sorry we started on the wrong foot.
Oh,
or like
really?
at the wrong first impression of you.
Is it because of your asshole-ish sense of humor?
I'm pretty blunt. I'm not a typical person all the time, I think. But Waz was one of these people. I think he's like, you're actually really cool. I wish you like hung out more while you were here. He told me this when I left, and I was like, that's really nice, actually. Yeah. I also wish we could have like been like normal friends for longer, because there was a lot of like melee baggage that prevented a lot of people from like being friends for real and hanging out.
That sucks so much. That sucks so much because we're all nerds who are crazy with this game. That's so weird that we keep playing.
And we have shared interests too. Like me and Waz, we talk a lot about music.
Yeah. Both really smart person.
Yeah. I like him a lot. He's into math and philosophy. Like I know him well now, but there were some lost years because, like I said, the toxic community back in the day was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Even like people from Concordia. I think Vadim also was like, he's
a shit talker too, though.
He's a talker, but that's what I mean.
Okay.
So we couldn't be like real friends for a while.
Okay. It's the competition of who's gonna shit on the other more.
Yeah, exactly. But like, especially when we stop playing as much or stop being as serious, we talk a lot and we actually are good friends. We have a lot in common now. But it could have been that way the whole time for the
Yeah.
beginning if things were different.
You could be
Um,
friends with the guy you're toxic with.
yeah.
Anyone in the
Even other
community.
people. Like someone I've never been able to like be friends with is someone like HP because he stopped playing and stopped going to events. So he only saw the side of me that was like a shit poster. Kind of making fun of retired players, whatever. Even though HP, I feel like if we were just playing Melee for fun and not have this competitive baggage, then we also have a lot in common. I'd be happy to like hang out with him. But this is just the way it goes. And this is why also I think it's good that community has changed now. Because I don't know. That's sort of what it should be about when you want to go to an event, is to like meet people and make connection.
I think
So,
rivalries now are more you're close to my level, I could beat you but I can't, or something you do like an execution test I can't deal with and it annoys
yeah.
me, but it's never like on a personal level.
Yeah. And I try to be better about this when I play friendlies with people too. I think you've experienced this when I play friendlies with you. I talk at you.
Yeah.
I tell you, oh, why are you jumping here?
I
Stop
remember
jumping,
the thing I remember doing is I was trying to learn crouch canceling.
Yeah.
And crouch cancel against Sheik is good. So I would just stand there, crouched, and you just fair, jump, fair, jump, fair, jump, fair, like 5 times in a row. And you said like, hey, you keep crouching there.
This is what I like doing.
Or like, keep on crouching, dude. Something like that.
Yeah. But imagine if I just had my headphones on and wasn't like talking to you.
I just move setups.
This guy's such a dick. But,
Or he's such a tryhard that I don't want to play with. And I'm probably not going to talk to him after.
Yeah. But now, with the culture, I think I'm able to, like, break that barrier. But because of before, if you started, like, way back when I started, we might have not been talking while we were playing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You've just done those fairs on me and not talking.
Yeah, something like that. Not always like that. I mean, I went to a weekly once, and people were shit talking about how easy Sheik was, like, behind my back. And I had never talked to the person before. It was, I think, like, Handsome Tom, who is also my friend now.
Handsome Tom was doing that.
Yeah. He's like, if I played Sheik for a month, I do better than Tranimal or whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking? I don't even know you. Like, why are you saying this shit to me?
Wow.
And it only took like 2 or 3 years before he was like, oh, Andrew, you're actually a cool guy.
Oh, 2 or 3 years. Oh, that's pretty good.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was never not a cool guy. I was just, playing Melee for serious or whatever.
And how does that toxicness applies in real life too? Like you said, it's also something that you deal with IRL.
Yeah, I mean, this is also when I'm younger. I'm just blunt with people. Now that I'm working in a workplace, I know how to be a professional.
Okay. Where do you work, actually? What do you do with your life now?
I'm actually not working right now, but I was just working, I guess, as a web developer in Toronto mostly. I was working for HelloFresh for like a couple years. Just up until like last month, and then I quit because I didn't want to work right now. Because working for a year during the pandemic has been really fucking tough.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking a break for a few months. Things are gonna open up more, and then I'm gonna look for another job.
So computer programming.
Yeah, in Toronto. I also don't like Toronto still. So.
Oh yeah.
At that point, I'm probably gonna move somewhere.
Just
else.
The city in general.
Yeah.
Are you gonna come back to Montreal?
No.
My God, Tranimal's a dick. So
I like Montreal. I want to live somewhere new too.
Great food in Montreal. Great music. So.
I mean, I'm gonna probably come visit.
Cool.
Well, soon. Quote.
Soonish, yeah. Why did you stop playing Melee?
I mean, all the stuff we just talked about in Montreal, as I said, is very unique. And so when I left to find work in Toronto, I really didn't enjoy it. I mean, there's 2 specific competitive instances I can point to, right? One is like, as you talked about in Shine 2018, I practiced so much for Shine 2018, and I practiced a lot about the Sheik Falco matchup because Marco had joined Montreal, and I was
Mm.
playing so much against Marco, and I just wanted so badly to get a Falco, and I did. So I got Rocky, and I practiced so hard for Sheik Falco, and I was playing Rocky in tournament in pool in bracket, and I was up against him like 2 stocks to 1 or something, and I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna like I can maybe beat Rocky if I keep playing well. And then my L button stuck in the middle of the game, and it was perma light shielding, and then I lost the first game. And then I couldn't use my controller anymore, so I borrowed Zafag's controller, and I couldn't play with it, and I just like lost the tournament. And I was like, why am I playing again? I had the same experience. Like, why am I playing this game? I worked so hard for this tournament. I paid a lot of money. I am taking this whole weekend to travel to Boston, and there was nothing I could do. You know. And then
So, fun fact about this button problem.
Yeah.
I had the same problem this weekend. Georgie had the same problem that weekend. I think another person did. I think we were all in a basement super with the humidity, and it did something to all our controllers. That's my theory.
Yeah. It's possible. I've never been able to figure it out. I asked Sinet about it, and I think
He said
told
wash
me
it.
I had to like replace it or something. Yeah, and I was like, it's not worth it. So I never had a good controller file. Now I bought a new controller because I've been making money finally in my life. And so I have
It looks at what you're
this
wearing.
nice custom controller now.
Oh.
So
Yeah, your
I feel
shirt
better
looks
about it.
like makes you seem like you make money.
This is
now.
a nice local shirt from Toronto. It's not that expensive. I dressed up for this podcast. I was, gotta be nice for Pino.
Yes.
Anyways, so when I came back to Toronto, I was like, okay, well, I still like Melee, so maybe I'll play casually. And then I would stop practicing at home entirely. I was just like, well, I'll just like enjoy going to tournaments and playing. I'm still pretty good. I don't need to practice anything specific anymore. I don't care. So I'll just like play for fun. And people in Toronto are super tryhards. I went to a tournament. As I said, I had to take a bus for like an hour to go north of the city to like a monthly tournament at like an esports center. And I entered bracket, and I did okay. But when I was in losers, I had to play someone named Rabbit, who I had beaten every time I played him before. He's a Sheik player, and he wouldn't chain grab. And then this time he's like, well, I'm playing Melee very seriously now, and I'm going to take it really seriously. And so we're going to chain grab. And I'm like, I hadn't practiced chain grabbing in so long. And so like we were just playing, and I would drop every chain grab, and he would 0 to death me off of every chain grab. And I was like, okay,
Wobbling
great time.
Wobbling
like,
is back.
Why am I even here? Like, this guy's just practicing a lot, and like I respect it. Like, he should try to win or whatever if he's taking it very seriously. But then I realized, like, if I'm not going to take it seriously, it's not that fun to enter tournaments.
But not just because you were losing to Sheik chain grabbing, because it was far from your place and not welcoming.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any friends. I went with, actually, Elliot was there at the time. He was the only person I knew. And at the time, too, like, it just reminded me of what it was like back in the day with rivalries. Because I would come back, and everyone's like, oh, Tranimal's in Toronto now. So I had, like, a target on my back. Because I'm this ranked player from Montreal who's now going to be living in Toronto. So I felt like if I entered tournaments, people would, like, want to see how well I did. They would want to, be like, okay, this guy's, like, 3rd ranked in Montreal. But Montreal is probably actually secretly trash, so Tranimal is going to do really badly. He's going to lose to our like 15th ranked player. He's like actually not that good, and that means Montreal's actually not that good because Tranimal's here and he's losing to all these people. And I was like, I'm just myself, and I want to come here and play Melee for fun.
Not trying to grind also, and trying to be casual again. And
yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I couldn't tell that to everyone I met and be like, I'm here entering tournament, but I actually don't care. Because then it sounds like a John.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, so you're still actually not that good.
But at the same time, like, expressing that it's kind of hard to be a casual in Toronto is also fair.
You're like, why are you even here? Yeah. I went to a weekly, I'm like, and it was my friend, like, Peyton. He's a Mark player. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not playing that much recently. I'm just here for fun. And I'm like, yeah, I actually don't play that much at all anymore. He's like, how much do you play? I'm like, I actually don't have a setup at home. And he's like, well, I only play like 3 or 4 times a week now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I'm so rusty now. I only play 3 or 4 times a week. And I'm like, what do you mean,
Super
dude?
good training regimen, 2 hours.
He's like, yeah, I used to play every day, but now I can only play like 3 times a week. So it's so hard to like explain to people my whole life story. So it's like, what am I supposed to do to people, you know? And so
And
like even that tournament I was playing, and this guy's he's like sort of my friend too. Oh, he's my friend now, but this is the same. It was the same dynamic, right? I forgot his tag actually, but he's a guy from Durham, a Fox player. And I was playing against him, and people were just like jeering against me in the back, and I'm like, why am I here? Why are you like jeering against me? I'm just playing this guy in tournament.
how can you make friends in that environment?
Yeah, and there's still people like that know me better, like Ryan Ford. Like I went to his house a few times to play friendlies, but it's because I knew him from him coming to Montreal all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't have any perception of me. He knew exactly what I was about and stuff.
Yep.
And otherwise, the other people I knew, like I am like sort of friends with Moki because I've interacted with him a lot when we were getting good at the same time, and we played a few tournament sets. But I can't play with him because he's like 2 hours away. I met Sunsei, and since he was new at the same time, I asked him like, oh hey, you know, you're new to Toronto too, like you want to like play friendlies? And he lives like in Oakville, so it's like an hour and a half west. And also, I don't know, he had some weird rule where his like landlord wouldn't let me come over or something, so I couldn't play. I couldn't play. I couldn't play with him either. So I was just like, well, I'm not going to be able to play with anyone. Netplay didn't have rollback at the time, obviously. Going to weeklies made me feel bad because everyone's cheering against me. I played Zuppy at a weekly and like popped off against me. I'm like, I'm working now. You're like in high school and you play every day. Like, what do you want me to do?
Was the toxic Andrew like wanted to say something?
Exactly. But if I say anything, I just look like salty or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like I'm trying to like, I don't know, whatever. People just still had the same toxic mentality that I had when I started, and I just wasn't feeling like I had the energy for that anymore. This is besides also all the nightmare stuff that I deal with.
The what? Sorry, it cut.
The nightmare stuff with people from Toronto.
Oh.
Which is a whole other story about why people in Toronto don't like me. Nice one.
I thought you said that like exactly.
Whole nother name.
Yeah.
And so people already had issues with me because of my posts on Facebook about that stuff.
Oh. My God, should we get into this?
We could. I mean, it's up to you. I will say that before this all stuff came out, I was technically like part of the Hyenas anyways, because I went to their weeklies all the time. I went to the weeklies that Nightmare ran every summer when I was in Toronto. And so the whole group of Hyenas, like I was like closest with them. Yeah. I mean, when I, like, as I said, there were cliques in Toronto. The clique I was part of would have been the Hyenas. And so when that whole thing happened, I suddenly had no one that I knew in Toronto or that liked me. The group of people that I originally liked suddenly now all hated me. So that was it, I guess. I just didn't know anyone else. So yeah.
That's really interesting. I talked with Kyle before that, and he was talking exactly about that aspect of competitiveness versus friendliness, I guess, or welcoming place. And I think your story, like not being biased for any, like not being biased for Montreal, but just hearing that context of people who live far from each other, but also that if they are really competitive and you just want to have fun with Melee, it's a weird community to make your place in, to find your place.
It's hard. And I contributed to that too back in the day. And Colin, I mean, he knows this. I know you're interviewing after him, so you can ask him about this. But he used to, at least, I don't know if he still does, have the attitude of like, why do people go to weeklies if they don't want to be really good? You know, and he would make posts being like, people in Montreal need to work harder and try harder and try to be really good.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the attitude. And now
it doesn't serve
course,
well.
no, like people don't need to go to be good or whatever. And I get it from Colin's point of view because he's just bored. But
both can work if you're more friendly than competitive. But you can't be just competitive and be friendly. So
yeah,
if you're welcoming, competitive players are still gonna know who are the real opponents. They're not gonna be threatened by me just having fun. But you can still be competitive in that environment. They shouldn't be scared of me.
Yeah. And I mean, the cycle continues. I think when we were starting, there were a lot of ship posts from B-wins. They're not really ship posts. Talking about like, well, to make it worth his time to go to the weekly and win, we have to raise the pot for first place. So then he'll think about coming, or else it's a waste of his time or whatever.
But at the same time,
you
it's just one more attendee. In my book, as a TO, for me, it's just one more attendee. It's not like
that's a good attitude.
Attendee. Yeah.
That's the attitude you should have as a TO, and that's the attitude I try to have. This is why my tournaments were so ambitious with the different formats and stuff, because I really thought that the actual format of tournaments for Melee is really bad for new players, and there's still problems, right? I don't think any TO has really figured it out yet. How to really make a tournament feel great for a new player to come for the first time. And I think
beginners weeklies are the closest that we have right now for that.
Yeah, and it's good you can run it now. It was a real hard thing to convince people of. I mean, I wanted to run an Arcadian like every couple of months. But there's a lot of people didn't want that. There's a lot of top players not wanting an Arcadian every month because, well, why are we giving money to new players? Or even from a spectator, they're like, well, Arcadians are really exciting because they only happen once a year, And so if we start having them every month, they stop becoming this big. Because Arcadians were really nice. People would travel from other regions for the Arcadian more than for other tournaments.
Yeah.
And like if they weren't every year, then it would stop being, sort of an interesting event that happened once in a while. But there's things like this that should be tried out, and they were harder to do in person because there's a physical time constraint that people needed to have.
Yes.
But now that you're online and you can run your 0-2 weeklies, you can just run them every week with the regular weekly, and it's not like
And
people need to pay like STM
60 people plus every time because there's
and that's also a region thing.
Field of players. Online.
But like think about in a year if we start running in-person tournaments, you think you can run beginner weeklies again, and if they'll do well, or if they'll take away from a regular weekly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how the IRL scene and the online scene are going to live together. I wonder that a lot.
It'll be hard, right? These are problems, and for new players too, you have to convince these new net play people to come to in-person tournaments.
Yes, I think that's when my stream and my Discord helps because we actually meet. We actually talk in Discord. They add each other to play on NetPlay.
Yeah, they're probably excited to meet in person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, meeting the people they've been playing on Discord for months.
Yeah.
It's like when I first got into the Smash Loft, I didn't know anybody, but if I met the community online first, maybe I would have been more comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And I think I hope it works out. I hope, because I mean, attendance went up and down so much, and I think me and Cal talked about it quite a few times about worrying about attendance, worrying about like getting more people to come, how to do outreach, how to motivate more people to come. Kyle had a really great idea of the Patreon. I think that was a big move.
Yes, that's a big move.
It's a big move. Also not common. No one else does that sort of stuff, right? And this is what I mean. Montreal's like really ahead of the game in a lot of ways.
In Montreal, it's $10 each week or $25 Patreon
for the month. Basically. And you can go to any weekly.
And you can go to I used to go to 64 PM in Melee for 25 American bucks every month.
And it was nice. Yeah, I went to Ultimate a couple of times. I went to Project M.
Oh, I didn't go that far.
It was new. I was enjoying, I don't know. I like learning new games. Yeah. So I had no problem trying it out. But yeah.
I have a series of true or false.
Okay.
You can't explain yourself. You can
Okay.
only say true or false. Okay, ready?
All right, fair. Let's do it. Yeah.
Pino is a good player.
Yeah, true.
Oh. Pino is funny. Oh, that hurts. Okay, next one. Your sense of humor, Tranimal, is condescending. True or false?
Yeah, true.
True. You are a lame player.
False.
Montreal is bad at melee.
False.
Kyle said true. Tranimal is mean.
I'm in the wrong mindset. From 2013.
Tranimal is a dick.
Yeah, true.
Legend looks inapproachable.
Oh, true.
Kyle is funny.
True.
Okay, that's it for the melee, non-melee related question. Legend in chat. I'm gonna ask you the same, so prepare yourself.
He has closed body language a lot. You see him at weeklies? He's like this with his arms. Sometimes he goes like this when he talks. With his arms. It's scary.
He's always more right about what he's saying because he's smart, so people feel bad when they ask questions.
Ross is scary. All needs to open his body more.
But like we said with Kyle, it's such a bad first impression. It's really a bad first impression.
Yeah.
Okay, so more melee stuff.
Sure.
Fox loses to Marth.
True.
Marth is easy to have good results with.
Marth is easy to have good results with. False.
Jigglypuff is easy to have good results with.
False.
Wobbling Ices is easy to have good results with.
True.
Falco is easy to have good results with.
True.
Falcon is easy to have good results with.
False.
Falcon is a brain dead character.
True.
Sheik is a bad character.
True.
Sheik loses to Falcon.
Targeted from here, you're gonna ask the same questions to everyone. I feel targeted for some of them.
And I ask the same question every time. Sheik
Right.
loses to Falcon.
False.
All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Did I forget anything that I might regret later?
Oh.
Are you still playing Melee for fun on rollback?
Yep.
Nice. I'm gonna ask this to every retired players because my theory is they're all playing. They're all still playing
It's
with friends.
literally so addicting that I can't stop playing if I wanted to. I'd have to lock my controller in a box. Not that I'm not wasting my life away playing Melee. I play like an hour a day or something, probably.
Oh, okay. I have one last question.
Yeah.
What's your HBox story?
My Xbox story?
Yes.
I have my own Xbox story. I mean, you know that I housed him for
Yeah.
I think 2015, maybe 16. And I had no idea about Xbox. I didn't even dislike him at the time. I was just like, oh, top player. I got to treat him really nicely or whatever. So all of the Montreal guys slept in the basement, as you know, and I let Xbox sleep in my room.
Oh.
I was like, this guy's traveling, like whatever, he's, my friends, they can sleep on the floor. Let this guy sleep in my room. And he just like touched on my stuff. And he was just like, he like picked up my musical instruments. He started playing my ukulele and stuff. He like tuned it to a different tuning, and he didn't like ask me for
He
any of this
tuned
stuff.
in a different tuning?
I came up after him like, why does my ukulele sound like this?
Half step down or something worse than that?
No, it was a cool tuning. Like it was fine. He was probably playing a specific song, but it's like a musician thing. Like if you have instruments, you should ask someone if you can touch them.
If I
Because
can-
I also
yeah.
have other expensive instruments,
Yeah.
And you don't want to just be like, well, I'm gonna pick up your like $1,000 guitar, and it's like cool, like no problem.
With your shirt with your zipper on it, and like, oh my god, I'm like, I would ask the person to take out his coat. And
yeah, but
so that's it.
That I mean, that's my story. I mean, there's other melee related stories, but that's the one I've never like. I don't tell a lot of people. It's kind of funny. I was playing friendlies with him at that same time. I asked him if we could play Sheik Puff, because I'm housing you. Can we play some melee? Like, I played him in like one match, and I was doing well. And the whole time I was playing him, he was talking about how Sheik is so hard for Puff. So it was like, all you Sheiks are so annoying now. Like, Plup's just shield dropping and punishing me. So annoying. Ugh. Sheik's so good. And I'm like, I'm literally so much worse than you. I'm getting like 2 stock. He's like, fuck it. And then he played one match, Sheik Puff. I got 2 stock. And he switched Nest and would only play Nest for the rest of the time. Oh my god.
And he would sleep in your bed after.
Like, I came out of my bed. I'm like, all right, you've been an asshole, so now you gotta sleep on the floor.
Oh, you made him sleep on the floor after that?
I couldn't do that.
Okay.
Okay. His Nest it was not good at the time. I was doing well against Nest, and I was not that good either. And everyone else who played him, I think I was the only one he played Puff against like at all, and everyone else he just played his bad secondaries. So it's like a real thing that just to play Puff in friendlies. It's even against really bad players. Now he'll warm up with some like mid-tier foxes. If you go to nationals and see him, he'll ask like, I don't know, someone like a mid-tier fox to play him or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. We've heard worse HBox stories.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like I know Hungrybox.
No.
All these kind of stuff. I like have interacted with him a bunch. Just at tournament stuff.
I just knew that you and Kyle had HBox stories, so I took
Kyle, I don't know if Kyle told you the one about at Big House when he like drunkenly stole Waz from our hotel room to talk about Finding Nemo.
No.
But, that's a funny story. I can't tell it because it's not mine.
Okay.
But someone else knows it. It's pretty funny. Or was it? Hungrybox was there too. Ice took a huge dump. That was the Ice story.
But that was Ice?
I think Ice took a huge stinky dump in a Montrealer's room. He was like, I need to shit so bad. And he went to their toilet and he took a dump and it smelled bad for like a whole day or two. But that's nice. Hungrybox was like really drunk, and I think he just came into the hotel room talking about how Finding Nemo was like a great coming of age story, and he was just like talking to Waz about this and like guided him out the door. And we're like, what's happening?
He guided him out the door to talk to him.
He was just talking and drunk. He was like walking towards the door and then kidnapped him. It was pretty funny.
That's funny.
There's more to it. I don't remember if I wasn't there or if I was also drunk, so
all good.
I don't really remember.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
No problem.
That was amazing.
Yeah, no, this is a good idea for podcasts. I hope people liked it. I
really enjoyed myself. No, it was fun talking to you. It's been a long time. I hope we see each other soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll be around.
Nice. Have a good day, man.
All right, see you later.
Later.